Hey guys, I want to talk about a new tactic that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is using to deport people who are non-citizens of the United States. This is called expedited removal, and historically it's only been implemented within 100 miles of the US border. That could be Canada or Mexico or any of the oceans, which includes all of Florida, the East Coast, and a bunch of the West Coast as well. Right now, Immigration is using this tactic nationwide. And this video is going to be about how you can protect yourself from being expeditiously removed, which means an immigration officer orders you deported, not an immigration judge. And what you want is to see an immigration judge. So if you've been in the US for less than 2 years continuously, you are subject to expedited removal. So what happens if you have contact with an immigration officer on the street? Well, the first thing is they need to prove that you weren't born in the US. And once they do that, whether it's through your admission, they ask you where you're born, you say Mexico, and they're like, okay, well now the burden shifts to you, the non-citizen, to prove that you're either a US citizen or you're here lawfully. The other way that they prove that you're not a US citizen is if you have a foreign passport on you or a foreign consular identification on you. These are easy ways to shift the burden from the immigration officer directly to you, and now you have to explain how you're here lawfully. So let's say it's established that you were not born in the United States and that you're also not a US citizen. You need to prove that you've been continuously here for the last 2 years. And I've been recommending that people carry documentation with themselves when they leave the house to protect themselves. For example, you can have a lease agreement, utility bills, insurance documents, medical records, school attendance records if you attend any classes, anything that proves that you've been here continuously for the last 2 years. And one thing to keep in mind is that it's a rolling 2 years. So you can't just do this once and then carry the same documentation around with you for the next 2 years. Like 6 months from now, you should update it so that for the preceding 2 years, you have continuous evidence that you've been here. If you encounter an immigration officer and things escalate to this point, you should simply invoke your right to see and speak with an immigration judge. Say nothing, sign nothing, and ask to speak with a lawyer as soon as possible. Invoke your rights and then remain silent. Do not answer questions. Do not talk about where you came from or that you used to have a work permit. Say nothing. It can only hurt you if you talk more. After this encounter with ICE, and after you've established that you've been continuously present in the US for 2 years, there's two things that could happen. One, you could be processed pretty quickly and given a notice to appear in immigration court and then released. And now it's up to you to show up to immigration court and defend yourself. Otherwise, you will receive a deportation order. And once you have a deportation order, the next time you have contact with immigration officers is going to be much more hostile, and they will be one step closer to physically putting you on a plane to repatriate you to your home country. The other thing that could happen is after you encounter them on the street or wherever, they can detain you. This is more likely for some people than others, but if they detain you, there are a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, you should still remain silent except for invoking your right to see an immigration judge and to speak with an attorney. Once you have an immigration attorney to assist you with this, the immigration attorney can work with ICE to have you released on some sort of bond, some sort of payment that guarantees that you'll show up to court or whatever. Or we can ask an immigration judge to redetermine your custody. And that would mean an immigration judge can have you released on bond. There are two things that the judge will consider. One, are you a flight risk? Are you likely to run if they release you? And two, are you a danger to the community? Do you have a criminal history? Are you likely to commit crimes? Is the judge going to let you out and then regret it when you go and you commit some sort of crime that hurts society at large or the public? Immigration judges around the country vary greatly in who they allow to be released or who they want to remain detained. So it is very specific to geography. For example, in Lumpkin, Georgia, your chances of being released on bond are close to 0%, whereas in New York, your chances, if you have no criminal history, if you have a family, a job, and ties to the community, are pretty high. And the amount you'll actually pay for bond, either you'll be released on your own recognizance by ICE, which means you pay 0, or if a judge determines your bond, the absolute minimum is $1,500. I've seen people who've paid $10,000 bonds because they've had a DUI or sometimes no criminal conviction at all the way up to a $100,000 bond where the immigration judge is like, I know you're not going to come up with that money, so I'm just going to set it at 100 grand and best of luck to you. The most important thing that you'll get out of this video is that you do not want an expedited removal order. You want to establish that you have a right to see a judge by showing you've been continuously present in the US for at least 2 years. Once you see a judge, you have way more rights. You might have defenses available to you. We might be able to get you released on bond. So that's really the goal here, is to prevent your immediate deportation from the United States. All right, guys, I just wanted to issue this public service announcement. If you are interested in updated news regarding Trump's immigration policies, or you're interested in family-based immigration, you're gonna marry a US citizen, or you just married an immigrant spouse, or you want to apply for US citizenship, subscribe to my channel or book a consultation directly with me. I would love to talk to you directly about your case, and maybe I can assist you with your case if you need an attorney to help you from start to finish. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for another video.